An important concept in Python is the concept of iterators. We have been using them for a while, but we didn't pay that much attention simply because it was not necessary. But it's a good thing to know how they work so you can implement yourselves in case you develop something. So an iterator is an object that contains a countable number of values in which you can go there and retrieve, process, and do whatever you want with the inner value of those elements, such as lists. Lists, they are an iterator. In Python, an iterator object needs to implement two methods, the iter and the next. And here are some definitions. So what is an iterable? Any object in Python which has the iter or the getItem method defined and returns an iterator. What is an iterator? It's any object in Python which has a next method defined, and an iteration is the process itself that takes an item or a collection list. Enough with that. We can simply show how it works. I will leave a link so you can check more details later, but think as this. Imagine that we have here a list, and this list has the values 1, 2, 3. We can have a class and define the method iter, the method next, to see how they're gonna behave. But in our case right here, we can simply say, well, you know, this here it's gonna be an iter. This is just to show how they work, right? So let's give us here some space. And sorry, you already saw the spoiler for the last part. So imagine like this. Since we transformed this little fellow there, that list, into an iterable, what we're going to do is we're going to use the next function because we just transformed that into an iter. So if we go there and print this, we're going to print 1 as the first value, and then if we do print the next one, which do you think is going to be? Well, is the second one, and hopefully you're seeing what's happening. But if you're not, let's just print it out, this list right here. Yeah, it's already an iter, sorry for that. But you can do this, x, let's say x, for x and it, and then we transform this here into a list. And then we go there. We'll see that we just have the item 3 there, right? So what happened with 1 and 2? After we gave the next call right here, these items 1 and 2, they were retrieved from the list that we are working with it, right? So every time you do a next, you are going there and accessing and retrieve the last element, which means that if we do print, yeah, I can just do this, it's easier. And if we run that, we have a stop iteration. And why that? Because we won't be able to retrieve that element anymore. We just have one element inside our list, right? So let me just double check here. Let's see what is the type of our, it's still a list iterator, right? So every time we do a next here, we're retrieving the items within our list. And when we try to do this for one last time, we won't be able to do it because we have a stop iteration error as we saw it. Okay, and also when we do something as in a for loop, let's say it doesn't matter how the data is described, but let's say we have some data like for data in a given data source like this, and we say, yeah, process the data for me. This here is the same thing, exactly the same thing as we have this guy right here, as long as this is an iterable in case of a list, right? Lists are not the only iterable. You can define your own. If you have a class and you define the functions iter and next, it's up to you what is an iterable or not. But Python has some built-in iterables, as in the max, min, all, any, and zip, map, filter, as we saw in the in the example from the previous video. Okay, so I'll leave a link here so you can check it out more about iterators. So thank you and happy coding.